Good morning. So we're starting a new dialogue today. Euthyphro. The introduction says, the real interest of the dialogue, however, is the picture of Socrates just before his trial. There is no question that he realized the danger he was in, but Plato, who knew him best of all, shows him engaging humorously and ironically and keenly in a discussion completely removed from his own situation, etc. I don't know if it's old age or what, but I am driven to tears so easily nowadays. Euthyphro. This, Socrates, is something new. What has taken you from your haunts in the Lyceum and makes you spend your time at the royal porch? You surely cannot have a case at law, as I have, before the Archon King. So this is emphasizing who Socrates is, portrayed as being in the other dialogue, someone who really doesn't take much interest in stately affairs. Lyceum is a type of school, right? That's the name of the schools, and some of the schools in the Netherlands. So I imagine it's a type of school. My business, Euthyphro, Socrates says, is not what is known at Athens as a case at law. It's a criminal prosecution. How is that? You mean that somebody is prosecuting you? I never would believe that you were prosecuting anybody else. So at least it's someone who knows Socrates. No, indeed, Socrates says. Then somebody is prosecuting you. Most certainly. Who is it? I am not too clear about the man myself, Euthyphro. He appears to me to be a young man and unknown. I think, however, that they call him Meletus, and his deme is Pythos. If you happen to know anyone named Meletus of that deme, a hook-nosed man with long, straight hair, and not much beard. Plato. Not very much. Not hiding his disregard of this man. Like, I don't know who he is. Some unknown fella. Euthyphro. I don't recall him, Socrates. But tell me, of what does he accuse you? His accusation? It is no mean charge. For a man of his age, it is no small thing to have settled a question of so much importance. Ouch. He says, in fact, that he knows the method by which young people are corrupted, and knows who the persons are that do it. He is quite possibly a wise man. Oh, Socrates. I'm not sure if he actually really considers the possibility of this man being wise. Some part of me thinks he actually does, like, well, maybe this guy knows something that I don't know. Even though he's young and, and observing that my ignorance has led me to corrupt his generation, comes like a child to his mother to accuse me to the city. And to me he appears to be the only one who begins his political activity aright. For the right way to begin is to pay attention to the youth, and make them just as good as possible, precisely as the able farmer will give his attention to the young plants first, and afterward care for the rest. And so Meletus no doubt begins by clearing us away, for ones who ruin, as he says, the tender shoots of the young. That done, he obviously will care for the older generation. and will thus become the cause, in the highest and widest measure, of benefit to the state. With such a noble beginning, his chances of success look good. I do think Socrates honestly does also, obviously there's irony in this as well, but I think he honestly also does see at least he has something right. The fact that you should take note and care of the youth. It's very eager, Socrates, to see the good in people. Euthyphro, or the wise, so desperate to see wisdom in others that Euthyphro, I hope so, Socrates, but I'm very much afraid it will go the other way. When he starts to injure you, it simply looks to me like beginning at the hearth to hurt the state. Oh, that's nice. But tell me what he says you do to corrupt the youth. Oh, it's bad that the guy says such good things now, because I know how this turns out. It's my second time. And he's quite an ass. Unless I'm reading the wrong one, but I don't think so. Socrates, it sounds very queer, my friend, when first you hear it. He says I'm a mocker of the gods, and charges me with making new gods, and not believing in the old ones. These are his grounds for prosecuting me, he says. Oh, Euthyphro. Oh, I see it, Socrates. It is because you say that ever and anon you have the spiritual sign. So he charges you in this indictment with introducing novelties in religion. And that is the reason why he comes to court with a slanderous complaint, well knowing how easily such matters can be misrepresented to the crowd. For my own part, when I speak in the assembly about matters of religion, and tell them in advance that what will occur, they laugh at me as if I were a madman, and yet I never have made a prediction that did not come true. But the truth is, they are jealous of all such people as ourselves. No, we must not worry over them, but go to meet them. So there's a false prediction. Don't worry, all will be fine. Dear Euthyphro, if we were only laughed at, it would be no serious matter. The Athenians, as it seems to me, are not very much disturbed if they think that so-and-so is clever, so long as he does not impart his knowledge to anybody else. But the moment they suspect that he is giving his ability to others, they get angry, whether out of jealousy, as you say, or it may be for some other reason. I think Socrates is truly struggling to imagine that anyone could be jealous of him. Euthyphro, with regard to that, I am not very eager to test their attitude to me. The courage to be... Socrates, quite possibly you strike them as a man who is chary of himself, I don't know what that means, and is unwilling to impart his wisdom. As for me, I fear I am so kindly when they think that I pour out all I have to everyone, and not merely without pay, nay, rather glad to offer something, if it would induce someone to hear me. Well then, as I said just now, if they were going to laugh at me, as you say they do at you, it wouldn't be at all unpleasant to spend the time laughing and joking in court. But if they take the matter seriously, then there is no knowing how it will turn out. Only you prophets can tell. I like Socrates' willingness to laugh at himself. Well, Socrates, perhaps no harm will come of it at all, but you will carry your case as you desire, and I think that I shall carry mine. Again, a false prophecy. Your case, Euthyphro, what is it? Are you prosecuting or defending? Prosecuting. Whom? Again, also the difference between the two. Euthyphro makes it clear in the beginning, like he is sure Socrates will not prosecute anyone. So there's immediately that difference between the two of them. The one inclined to prosecute and the other one very much not. And I guess we could ask what that means, but... Whom? Socrates asked. One whom I am thought a maniac to be attacking. How so? Is it someone who has wings to fly away with? He is far from being able to do that. He happens to be old, a very old man. Who is it then? It is my father. Your father, my good friend. Oh, and I think there's also some sort of resemblance here. Socrates kind of referring to the young man prosecuting him. Comes like a child to his mother to accuse me to the city. Like, also kind of prosecuting his father, his spiritual father. Or a man who could have been a father to him. Your father, my good friend. Just so. What is the complaint? Of what do you accuse him? Of murder, Socrates. Good heavens, Euthyphro. Surely the crowd is ignorant of the way things ought to go. I fancy it is not correct for any ordinary person to do that, to prosecute his father on this charge, but only for a man already far advanced in point of wisdom. Yes, Socrates, by heaven, far advanced. Okay, another difference between the two. Euthyphro is far advanced in wisdom, and Socrates is still learning. Euthyphro. Yeah, let me read this. You amuse me. Oh, no. Socrates. And the man your father killed, was he a relative of yours? Of course he was. You never would prosecute your father, would you, for the death of anybody who was not related to you? You amuse me, Socrates, Euthyphro says. You think it makes a difference whether the victim was a member of the family or not related, when the only thing to watch is whether it was right or not for the man who did the deed to kill him. If he was justified, then let him go. If not, you have to prosecute him, no matter if the man who killed him shares your hearth and sits at table with you. Ugh. Let's just keep it fictional and say some 1984 things are coming to mind. The pollution is the same if knowingly you associate with such a man and do not cleanse yourself and him as well by bringing him to justice. The victim in this case was a laborer of mine, and when we were cultivating land in Naxos, we employed him on our farm. One day he had been drinking and became enraged at one of our domestics and cut his throat, whereupon my father bound him hand and foot and threw him into a ditch. Then he sent a man to Athens to find out from the seer what ought to be done, meanwhile paying no attention to the man who had been bound, neglecting him because he was a murderer, and it would be no great matter even if he died. And that was just what happened. Hunger called, and the shackles finished him before the messenger got back from visiting the seer. That is why my father and my other kin are bitter at me when I prosecute my father as a murderer. They say he did not kill the man, and had he actually done it, the victim was himself a murderer. And for such a man, one need have no consideration. They say that for a son to prosecute his father as a murderer is unholy. How ill they know divinity in its relations, Socrates, to what is holy or unholy. I guess there could be a case made that if there is truly a murder, you have a responsibility. But Plato makes it very clear that this is not the case. Tot zover ons skriflesing.